Live talk with Anita Bradley.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome to Live Talk with Benita Bradley. I'm your host, Benita Bradley, and tonight we have a special guest. So I was having a little technical difficulty on my laptop, so tonight I'm using my iPad. So I need you guys to let me know if you can hear me and see me okay. Um, I want to say welcome, good evening to Instagram, all of you on all of our Facebook platforms. Good evening to YouTube, and good evening to Periscope Twitter, is what you're calling yourself these days. And most especially, good evening to our guest, JayMad. How are you, sir?
I am doing well. How are you all? Thank you so much for inviting me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. We're going to get right into our interview so we can have time to go over all the questions that I have for you. I have a lot of questions for you.
Yes, yes. I'm
I,
ready.
I ask a lot of questions. And so um, I want to make sure, let's see. All right, Instagram, I got you where you can see everything. Instagram, if you guys have trouble hearing, let me know, and then I'll turn the volume up on my television monitor that you're watching, okay? Because as you know, um, Instagram does not allow anyone to stream into them. You can stream live from Instagram, but Instagram does not allow you to stream live into them. So, for that reason, um, good evening. For that reason, I have to have it like I have it. And so, Instagram, they always get to feel special because they are. So, they're coming in and waving. And so Jason, let's start right here. Tell us just a little bit about yourself. Um, and then we're going to get right into these questions because you have quite an interesting story. And I knew of you just by watching you on social media and your TikToks, but now that I know your story, it makes you more of an interesting person to get to know. So, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you were born, and stuff like that.
Okay. First of all, Benita, let me say thank you for recognizing me through my social media
Right.
platforms that I'm on. I do appreciate. I am humble, and I am grateful that you allow me to be on your platform. So thank you so much.
My
Um,
pleasure.
wow. I am a unique character. I've been
Indeed.
through I've been through from the day of my birth
Hmm.
until, I mean, even to recent days. My story is amazing. There's a lot of stuff that this weekend I had to speak for my pastor at his church, and I preached a sermon called "It's Complicated,"
Mm.
uh,
Mm.
and it it suggested that our lives is complicated, and
Hmm.
we don't, if we really told the whole story
The whole
about
story.
the whole story, not leaving
Hmm.
anything out. um
Hmm.
I tell people, I used to, and I, even to this day, I still tell people, I said, if you knew my whole story, you probably would
Hmm.
not listen to me,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
I've had bad stuff happen to me, but let's be honest, I've done bad stuff to people.
Yep.
And so my story is very complicated.
Hmm.
um the day, believe it or not, believe the day that I was born,
Hmm.
um I had a lot of, my grandmother was Kojic. My mom grew up Kojic.
Okay.
um my grandmother was deep into Kojic. I had a lot of bishops in my room the day I was born, a lot of pastors and well-known people. But the day that I was born, believe it or not, they gave my mom too much of the wrong medicine.
Okay.
Not that they gave her the wrong medicine. They gave her too much of the wrong medicine
Okay.
before I was born. I was still in her. She
Okay.
actually had died on the table.
Okay.
She was living through me.
Okay.
So
Wow.
my story is complicated. However,
Hmm.
I finally reached, and we're going to talk about a lot of stuff
Yeah.
about life after the collar and all of this other stuff that I've grown into.
Hmm.
But I've grown into a space and time where I realize TD Jakes once said, "Nothing just happened."
Right.
And so I am there. I
Right.
believe that every good and bad thing that has happened to me has guided my footsteps, even when I didn't know it was guided. I've gone through um, my high school years being able to being in a marching band. I was in a marching band from middle school to high school, all through high school, and didn't know how to read music. My
So
ear
you had to
my
fake it
ear
till you
was
make.
so sensitive
Uh-huh.
that I played by ear.
Oh,
And so I
okay.
moved from, and it was okay in when I was going to a black school, but I ended up going to a white school.
Right.
And 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 the band director, he came to me, he said, "No, you're gonna play at this." I said, "I don't want to play at the school." And then he
Hmm.
was like, "No, here's your schedule." I said, "Well, I don't read music." The next semester, he created a class just for me.
Wow.
So everything, every phase of my life, God has placed things in place. It was already in place, ready for me.
Hmm.
And it took me, I have the privilege of turning 50 if God see fit to turn 50 in December. And
Okay.
through these years, every place that I've gone in my life, God had already prepared the place for me.
Okay.
It was me growing into the knowledge of what God was doing that has brought me where I am today. I'm not gonna spoil the fun and the questions, so I'm gonna let you know what you, because you've read my
Cause you
bio,
know I got some good ones.
and I was very careful of the words that I use, so I didn't want to steal the thunder or give
Right.
away anything. So I'm going to allow you to just do what you do.
Okay.
I'm a guest, and I'm an open book.
Okay. All right. So, Instagram, please let us know if you can hear us okay. I know you guys can see us because I'm watching the monitor on your screen. So, but let us know if you can hear us okay. All right. And if not, we'll make the adjustments, or I'll make the adjustments on my end that I need to make. All right. So, let's get into it. So, you were born in Seattle, Washington. So, you mentioned your mom, going having this difficulty when she was pregnant with you. Was your father there also?
Yes, my father. So yes, my father was there. They were married. My dad was a preacher. He's since gone to glory. Uh, um, my mom, very young. She was very young. My mom is actually, Hawaiian. Um, and on her birth certificate, it suggests that my mom is white,
Huh.
uh, and that her dad is Scottish. But in
Okay.
reality, my mom is Hawaiian and Kenyan. My mom, well, yes, my mom is white and Kenyan.
Okay.
So the guy's name that's on my birth certificate is not my real grandfather. Um,
Oh.
and so my mom is adopted
Hmm.
and was moved to Seattle, and from Seattle, my mom was adopted into this family.
Okay.
So we didn't know anything about the Hawaiian side of my family
Okay.
until later on in life. Um,
Okay.
my mom is a very beautiful, beautiful lady. She has very youthfulness, and that's
Mm-hmm.
where I get my usefulness, because I know y'all. Y'all can't believe that I'm a 50. I know it looks like I'm 20 years old. I know it looks like I'm
Right.
20 years old. And so,
Right.
but yes, my dad was there.
Mm-hmm.
We had it was a lot of people there. That story is very, very interesting.
Okay.
And I actually just found out this past year, the whole story of my birth. I knew
Really?
about the medicine.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't until this year that my mom shared that she actually died on the table.
Uh-huh.
And she shared how for a few minutes she was surviving off of my heartbeat.
Right.
So
And that's amazing because normally, like in pregnancy, um, if the mom is in trouble, then of course the baby's in trouble.
you're right. And they were
So that's
confused about that,
amazing
from my
within
understanding.
itself.
Right. From and I've had many of these experiences. Um, they were confused about it. Like, wait a minute, she's dead. She's like coded, but
Right.
he's still going and breathing, and so
And you still had a strong heartbeat and all of that. Okay, we lost him. Okay, so guys, we'll wait for him to come back in. I think he was freezing here and there. So he may have run into some bad weather on his end, but we'll wait for him to come back in. Um, he definitely has an interesting story. Very, very interesting story. And I want you guys to hear it all. Okay, let's see. Okay, we'll wait for him to come back in. Oh, somebody say he was freezing. Okay. Am I freezing also? Okay, I see someone say he was freezing. Am I freezing on my end also? Let's see. You guys know how it is when you're doing live. Anything can happen. Okay, so he may be having technical difficulties as well. So we'll wait for him to pop back in shortly, I hope. Oh, there he is. There he is. Okay, let's see if I can get him in. Add. There you are.
are you there?
Yep, you're back. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me and see me, Jason? You're on.
I think I'm back. You're
You
frozen,
you
but I see your picture.
I'm frozen now? Okay, let's see. Um Good evening, Cassandra. Okay, because before they say you were freezing, so now I'm frozen. Let's see. Okay, let me look on the monitor and see what's going on. Hmm, I don't see where I'm freezing. Okay, let me go out and come back in. Okay, I'm back. Okay, he's out again. So it may be on his end because he keeps going. Oh, there he is. Let's see. Okay, can you hear me and see me okay now, Jason?
I can hear you fine. I can't see you though.
So tell me what you're seeing on the screen.
Okay, I think I have you now.
Okay.
I see a picture of you, but you're frozen.
I'm frozen. Oh no. Okay. Okay,
Am
so
I frozen?
yeah, so they were saying that you were freezing.
Okay, am I good now?
Yeah, you're good now. Kevin Rivers said you were freezing earlier. But
Okay.
it looks okay now. Okay, I think we can continue on now. If
Okay.
you can hear and see me. Okay, let's try to make it through because I don't know. Um, okay, so we were
All right.
talking. Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, great. All right, so we were talking about um, how you just recently found out about some of your family history. And I think that's very important, particularly as we get older, that we know about our family history, more specifically for medical purposes. You know, as we get older and then we have children, and as our children begin to get older, I think all of that is important. So I'm glad you were able to find out what you needed to know. Um, so then you were raised in Georgia though. When did you move to Georgia? Yeah, I think it is him freezing.
Steve. And if you all can get a chance to watch that documentary,
Uh-huh.
it will uh, push you to find out more about where we are from.
Okay.
It's
Say
gonna
the
open
name
up.
of the
It's
documentary
gonna open up.
again.
It's called Enslaved. It's the guest on the special guest in this thing is Samuel L. Jackson,
Okay.
and he finds out where he's from in Africa. But
Uh-huh.
it doesn't concentrate on Samuel L. Jackson. It
Right.
gives some bits and pieces about his story.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if a lot of us African Americans
Mm-hmm.
would find out where we came from,
Okay.
I think it'd do our culture
Mm.
some good. I think it really would, because I'm getting ready to do mine and find out where I'm from. I'm going to do my dad's side and my mom's side. I'm going to concentrate on my dad's side since that's what's in my veins.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm going to do my mom's side too. But I think that when we as African Americans, I'll just say Black folks,
Right.
really get to know who we are,
Mm-hmm.
we can then begin to reconnect.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is in our history. There was in I think episode it's 6 episodes. I think episode 4 or 5. A guy makes this statement. He
Uh-huh.
says, "Black history did not start with slavery.
Okay.
Black slavery interrupted Black history."
Oh wow. Okay,
And it
that's
blew
good.
my mind because now I
Uh-huh.
look at slavery totally different now.
Different. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Because slavery, well, the slavery that we know, when we say, when we mention the word slavery, we think that it was only minimized to Black folks. It
Mm-hmm.
was slavery way before they went to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
It was slavery way before they went to Africa. There is some nuggets, and I'm not gonna harp on that, but there's some nuggets that we would love, we would learn, and that's a great movie to get to reconnect us to our roots. But go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna watch that. Okay, so you came from Washington to Georgia, and then I was reading in your bio, and I told you I would touch on this. So by your early teens, it said you had lived in a battered women and children's shelter.
I did. Let me because I went from, and I think one of the conversations you're gonna lead into the group home or orphanage.
Yes.
That season is the same. The
Okay.
battered women and children and the orphanage that I lived in Macon, we called it a group home.
Okay.
It was the same. It was the
Okay.
same period. I
Okay.
grew up. In Augusta. My dad was much older than my mom. My mom was 18 when she had me, which means she was 17 when she got pregnant.
Okay.
I have an older brother, which
Okay.
means she was 15 when she got pregnant and 16 when she had my brother. Or no, she was 16 when she got pregnant. No, 15 when she got pregnant, 16 when she had my brother.
Okay.
So, and my dad was much older. He was in his 20s, mid
Okay.
20s.
Okay.
And back then it was
Yeah.
okay, especially in the
Yeah.
black culture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so my mom and dad, they decided to move from Seattle back to
Sorry.
Georgia, which is where my grandfather is from, which is where my dad is from. Long story short, my mom and my dad separated. My dad went somewhere, don't know where. My
Uh-huh.
mom had 4 kids or 5 kids.
Okay.
The fifth kid was by a different dad. The dad took him.
Okay.
We ended up going to my grandparents' house, which was my dad's mom and dad.
Okay.
I'm getting ready to blow a lot of people's mind.
Uh-huh.
I'm getting ready to blow a lot of people's mind. I grew up. I grew up in the same house as my father, the same exact house, raised by the same exact woman and man, and I never knew my dad. I did not even know what my dad looked like. I didn't know my dad's voice. I moved in with my grandparents at I was in the first grade. Was in the first grade.
So, wait, Jason. We can't just
I already yeah. Go ahead. Go
we
ask the
can't just
question.
skip over that one.
Ask
So
the question.
so so how did you okay, so like you grew up in the same household with your dad.
No, that my I grew up in the same household that my dad grew up in. My
So
dad was not there.
okay.
My dad was somewhere else doing whatever. My
So he never came
grandparents
to visit?
never came to visit, never had a phone call from him from first until I was in the 7th or 8th grade.
There were no pictures of him?
No pictures of him. There was no. I knew that was my dad's. I knew that my grandparents was my dad's parent,
Right.
but I didn't know. Here's how the story is this. This is how I met my dad.
Okay.
This is how. Now I had images of him. You know, when you 5 and below,
Right.
you have images or whatever.
Uh-huh.
My great grandmother died. Big Mama had died,
Uh-huh.
and so we own a lot of land in Macon. And on this land, we have like 5 or 6 houses. We have 3 or 4 gardens or farms or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
But we also had our own church on our land. Like
Okay.
people would come to our land to go to church.
Okay.
And so they had brought the body down to the church, my Big Mama. We went to see Big Mama and we was walking up from the church.
Mm-hmm.
This guy was walking down from the house that we lived in, my grandparents' house.
Mm-hmm.
walking down from the house, and he stopped us halfway and
Mm-hmm.
said, "Are you all the Madison kids?" And we
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Yeah." And he said, "Do you know who I am?" And we all said no.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "I'm your dad." That's how we met our father.
You remember exactly how old you were at that time?
Yes, I think I was 12 or 13.
Okay.
I was 12 or 13.
Okay. And how many children altogether he and your mother had?
4.
And none of you knew him?
My oldest brother remembered his face.
Okay.
My oldest brother remembered his face, but I'm the second oldest, and then I have twin sisters. We
Okay.
had no earthly idea who he was.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
complicated.
Indeed it is.
It's complicated.
But you know what? Sometimes our best stories come out of our complicated lives,
Yes,
and sometimes the best people come out of messed up situations, if you will, you
yes.
know. So, so
Oh, you asked about. I went through
how
all of
did
that
you end up
because you
in
asked
the,
about the battered women and
yeah,
children.
how did you end up there and
So,
the group home with
so,
all of
so
your siblings?
Gotcha. So
Okay.
we were in when we was living with our grandparents, we was considered foster kids. My grandparents had put us in foster care, but foster care made them our foster parents,
Where was your
which is
mom?
what they normally do. Which is what foster care try to do is get you with the closest relatives. And so
Okay.
they were even though they was our grandparents, they was also considered our foster parents. So here's what happened. Here's what happened. Um, Without going into too much detail,
Right.
I grew up old school.
Okay.
You got a beating for everything, not a whooping, not a whooping.
A beating.
In the 80s and maybe early 90s, they was getting whoopings. But
Hmm.
in the 70s and 80s, we were getting beatings.
Right.
And so my brother had did something real stupid. He had did something real stupid. And um, the person that brought him home witnessed what happened. Now,
Hmm.
it was child abuse. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, it was child abuse. We done. It is what it is.
Right.
And so the defects found out about it,
Hmm.
and they put us into the battered women and children's home.
Okay.
And so that's how we ended it up in there. But our story while we were there, we're sitting there because everything has a purpose.
Hmm.
Let me put a if I could put a nickel in the meter right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything that you go through in life is for a reason. You may not understand it.
Hmm.
You may not see it, you may not feel it, and you may not want to go through it. But
Hmm.
everything that you go through in life is for a reason.
Right.
I've been teaching this new concept. Well, I don't even want to call it a new concept, an evolved concept of prayer.
Okay.
People sit there and we pray for God to change things.
Right.
God stop this. God change this. But in reality, this life is already done.
Right.
What we should be praying for is God guide my footsteps.
Right.
God open my eyes so I can see.
Hmm.
God show me this so I can take it to the next stage.
Hmm.
And so what I learned during that season when I'm around these people and their story is far more worse than mine.
Right.
And I'm sitting among these people and these kids are telling me their stories. I'm like, good God,
Yeah. Yeah.
send me back home.
Right.
So that's how we ended up in the battered children and women and children's home. And
Okay.
my oldest brother, ended up getting kicked out
Okay.
because he liked to fight.
Okay.
And then they said, hey, y'all can't stay because now we're like a year and a half into this.
Okay.
And so they said, hey, y'all can't stay here any longer. We're going to have to move y'all to an orphanage or a group home.
Okay.
So that's why we made the transition from the orphanage to a group home. We got to the group home. I first time I ever encountered racism, because the first time I was there, it was normally a white folks group home.
Right.
But they ushered us in there, and this white boy called me boy, nigga, slave in the same statement.
Wow.
And my oldest brother found out about it. They allowed my oldest brother, to come back with us. He was our protector, came back with us, and he found out about it, and he tried to kill the dude. So he get kicked out the orphanage.
Okay.
He get kicked out the orphanage, and now the courts are like, hey, we need to expedite this so they can get these folks back to their mother.
Right.
They allowed my sisters to go home, and I got stuck into the orphanage for about another year or so. So I was in an orphanage by myself. My sisters were with my mom. My brother was in an orphanage, in a foster care family, and I was in an orphanage by myself.
Wow.
So that's that season of my life. And then the stories from them kids. Had one kid, he was 18 years old, and they had to get rid of him. Well, not get rid of, that's a bad way of saying it.
Right.
He had aged out of the program.
Right.
And so the day he left, he told us his story. He said he remembered when his mom dropped him off, and he was in like the 2nd or 3rd grade, and his mom said, we'll be back for you for Christmas. They picked him up that holiday season, 2nd, 3rd grade. He said they picked me up for that Christmas, but they brought me back after New Year's. And that was the last time he saw his family.
Wow.
My story minimizes what the other folks. My story cannot compare what I learned during that season.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this. Were you ever angry at your parents that you had to go in the foster care and the group homes?
I was angry at the world.
Yeah.
I was angry at my grandfather, my grandparents, because I didn't know the full story of what's going on. And that statement might help somebody.
Right.
You may be hating on somebody in your family, and you don't know the whole story.
Right.
So I was mad with my grandparents, but I didn't know the whole story.
Whole story, yeah.
I was mad with my brother because he left me in the orphanage by myself, but I didn't know the whole story. I was angry with my sisters because my sisters was able to go home and I was stuck here, and now I felt abandoned. I was mad with my mother because why did my mother choose them and not me?
Yes.
And so the cycle of anger, and it created a spirit of abandonment in me. I was grown with kids. I was grown, married with kids before I realized I was dealing with abandonment issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it wasn't until I found out the whole story. Even when I hated, I was 38 years old before I told my dad I loved him for the first time. It was on my 38th birthday, pastoring a church in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay.
They came, my church gave me a surprise birthday party.
Okay.
My dad was there. and he hugged me. And that was the first time I ever told my dad I loved him. But
Wow.
I hoarded
Mm-hmm.
uh, anger
Mm-hmm.
for so many people, and I just didn't know their story. It wasn't, and I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna let you ask the next question. I was driving. I was dropping my kids off to their mother's house, and I was driving back to Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and God, on this drive back, for whatever reason, I didn't want the radio on, and God said, "Jason, do you remember you did this?" And I said,
Mm.
"Yeah." And then he said, "You remember when you did this?" And he started bringing up choices that I made.
Right.
And God said this to me. I remember it like it was yesterday. He
Mm-hmm.
said, at that particular time, you made the best choice you can make at
Mm.
that particular time.
That time.
Not that
Okay.
it was right, not that it was wrong, but it
Uh-huh.
was the best choice you can make at that particular time. I said,
Uh-huh.
okay, God, I get it. And when
Right.
I agreed with God,
Mm-hmm.
God told me, he said, that's all your daddy did.
Wow.
He made the best choice that he can make at that particular season in his life. Why? I didn't know the whole story.
Right.
It wasn't until later on in life that I found the whole story. At that particular season in his life, he made the best choice that he can make just to keep living.
Mm.
Think about this. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Um, there are people out on the street
Mm-hmm.
that that made a choice to go to use drugs, or to turn to alcohol, or to turn to prostitutes, or whatever the case may be,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the best choice they can make at that particular season in
Mm-hmm.
their life, not to take something and put a gun to their head,
Yeah.
take some pills,
Yep.
kill themselves. They
Yep.
only made the choice they can make to survive.
Yep. Yep.
That's all it is.
Yep.
Not it's it whether it was wrong or right. The only
Mm-hmm.
thing they wanted to do is wake up the next morning.
Yep. Been
That's
there.
the only thing they wanted to do, was
Yep.
wake up the next morning. Go ahead.
Yep. Been there. Been there. And so after that phase in your life, um, from all of that, you developed this passion to want to help others that were hurting. Um, do you think you still hold that passion today?
Oh, it has, the passion to help people
Mm-hmm.
has evolved so much,
Mm-hmm.
not from a emotional level, because it
Okay.
used to be, I'm trying to help you emotionally.
Right.
Then it evolved into a spiritual thing. I want to help you survive spiritually.
Okay.
Now I'm at a place where I just want to help you survive.
Yeah.
I want to be in a place where I am giving people the unadulterated truth
Uh-huh.
of what. And I understand. I had a dream some years ago. I was 18 years ago, and God
Okay.
showed me. When I dream vividly. I smell and see colors, so I dream
Yeah,
in
I
color.
always say I dream in color. That's what I
I
say.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's me. I dream in color. I
Uh-huh.
smell things,
Uh-huh.
and so I had a dream that I saw. I was at Calvary,
Uh-huh.
and I was at the foot of the cross, and I
Uh-huh.
had Mary and his brother right beside me, and
Uh-huh.
I heard her crying. I felt Jesus sweat on
Oh.
me, and I smelled the mustiness of the air. And so I'm there and I couldn't take it anymore. And I went like this. I put my hands in my head. And then when I lifted my head back up, I was on the cross.
Mm.
And I felt the pain. And it snatched me out of my sleep. And God said to me this. God said to me this. I am going to have to crucify you differently than I did Jesus. You are going to have to go through things, and I'm going to use your emotional body, your spiritual body, and I'm going to let people kill your emotional body and your spiritual body and your mindset, so that, because I know that you are strong enough to take it. And when you come back, you are going to be able to feed people on a totally different level. Now, it wasn't until I went through my church hurt that I realized what all of that was for. It wasn't until I experienced my church hurt that I realized, okay, God, well, let me be honest. I went through the church hurt, but it was like 3 years later before the revelation. God said, this is what I was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's complicated.
Yeah. But it makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. It makes sense if you've been there, you know. If you've been there, it makes absolute sense. And for me, I've been there and it makes sense to me. So then you started your ministry. You actually started really early at age 15. Let me ask you this. Would you advise parents to allow their teenagers to start ministry at such an early age, now that you know what it looks like? I think a lot of times when you know how they have child prodigies that play the piano and can play all of these things. I think we have those in ministry as well. When you are really good in ministry and you're really young, you're a teenager or what have you, and so you're immediately placed in these leadership roles, even though mentally, this is just my opinion, mentally you're not really ready for what the roles they put you into spiritually, if you will. So
Well, I was, and I need to do a class on this. I actually need to do a class on this. I would say learn, because my folks knew I was gonna be a preacher when I was knee high to a tadpole.
right.
It was just something in me. My great aunt, my Aunt Catherine, I love her to life. She was like my mother. Aunt Catherine would say, yeah, you're going to be a preacher because you eat too much fried chicken. And so I knew I was going to be, and me and my brothers, it was 4 of us. It was my twin brothers, my twin sisters, and me and my older brother. And we would go down to the church on our property. And my brother would play the music, my sisters would sing, and I would be the preacher. It was automatic.
Okay.
But it wasn't until but we was just playing.
Right.
It wasn't until I was 15 and I'm sitting in church and I'm at revival and I hear this voice that plainly said, it's time for you to be a preacher. That's subtle. That was the first day of the revival. We're like 3 or 4 days deep into revival.
Right.
And it's now has gotten louder in my ear. And so I go to my pastor at the time, Pastor Jennings in Grantville, Georgia, Greater Jehovah Baptist Church.
Right.
I said, Pastor, I think I'm supposed to be a preacher. That's exactly how I said, I think I'm supposed to be a preacher. My pastor said, what took you so long?
Wow.
He said, I've been waiting on you. But here is the thing that my Pastor Jennings, never did. He never forced me to preach.
Mm.
Here's
Mm-hmm.
what happened with young folk.
Mm-hmm.
Young folks, and I thank God he never took me down all the way down this road,
Mm-hmm.
especially little ones.
Mm-hmm.
Little ones mimic preachers,
Right.
especially in the black church.
Yes.
The holding of the ear,
Mm-hmm.
the handkerchief or the towel,
Yep.
and God said,
Uh-huh. The
and
squalling and all of that.
so that is called mimicking.
Right.
That's not called preaching.
Right.
And so what I would advise parents that see their child getting, and you see that gift in them, don't force that gift into it. Cultivate that gift into them.
Yeah.
What I mean by cultivate, the foundation of who they are is a child.
Right.
They are a child.
Right.
What you do is you cultivate the ground
Mm-hmm.
and put seeds in it. But guess what? They still dirt.
Right.
They still dirt.
Right.
So allow them to be kids,
Yeah.
because there are, and I want, if anybody that's listening to this conversation tonight, I'm gonna be real honest with you. I'm gonna be real open and honest with you right now. There is in front of the pulpit and behind the pulpit
Mm-hmm.
to a preacher.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say that again. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't care how old that child is.
Mm-hmm.
Some young preachers and musicians get turned out.
Yep.
They get turned out,
Mm-hmm.
molested,
Yep.
mistreated.
Yep.
I'm 15 years old, and this is my story,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to drag it out too much. Y'all more than welcome to have me back. I'm 15 years
Will.
old, and I'm because when I made that decision, I'm all in.
Okay.
And so now my pastor is having me go places with him,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting in the pulpit, 15-year-old kid sitting in the pulpit, and I'm going to all these different things. And after church, mothers
Mm-hmm.
are dragging their daughters up to me,
Mm-hmm.
literally
Mm-hmm.
dragging their daughters up to me.
Mm-hmm.
I remember this one incident. I was in East Point.
Mm-hmm.
Went to a revival, met this young lady. The mother of the daughter gave me their phone. This was before cell phones.
Right.
I would call her on the phone. My pastor's wife and my mother was going to Atlanta to do some shopping. I said, hey, drop me off at this particular girl's house.
Mm-hmm.
I get there. The daddy is drunk on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, she was like, oh no, he gonna be gone for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Come to my room.
Okay.
She takes me to her room. I'm innocent.
Right.
And I got broken in.
Yep.
So if you're gonna have your child get into ministry, please understand that pulpit is the show.
Yep.
It's the show.
It is.
The pulpit is designed to entertain you.
Yep.
We entertain you, and everybody that's in the pews are our fans.
Yep.
And from our fans, we have those fans that are bold enough to walk
Mm-hmm.
up and do this. They would take this one finger, ladies, I want y'all to pay it, men do it more than women.
Right.
They'll go and shake your hand, and they would take that finger and rub in the middle of your hand.
Mm-hmm.
That's an indication.
Right.
If you want me to tell the whole story, I'll break it all the way down.
You know I'm gonna have you back, right? You know I'm gonna have you back. And that's so true, because um even in serving in ministry,
Oh my God.
they just don't. I think I started when I was 14. I started when I was 14, and I was really good at what I did. And because I was so good, I was assigned as a youth group secretary in my church. But then, because I was so good at what I did, and
I know
because
the
my
escalation.
dad
I know the escalation.
gave so much money, I was then the youth secretary for all the churches in the Southeastern District. So I'm 14 and I already got 3 churches youth department under my diocese at 14. So I'm holding the books to 3 churches youth department. So, well, I'm doing a good job, doing a good job. I found out that I was being groomed for the bishop's son, that he and I went to school together. I didn't know that at first. And so when I found, and I did not like him. And so, and I said, well, I don't really like him like that, you know. So that didn't make them take my position away. I got pregnant at 15. When they found out that it was not from the bishop's son, they came to my home when my parents were not there and put me out of the church altogether. I mean, just never said, well, when you have the baby, come back. Never said, well, we just want you to sit down, but you can still come to church. I was told, don't even come to church, because they didn't want the other teenage girls to speak to me, because they didn't want them to think that getting pregnant was a good idea, you know, and because I was so visible
That's my mom.
throughout the whole
Yeah.
Southeastern District, they did not want me to be seen at any of the churches, in any of the anything. I couldn't participate in anything. They didn't even want me to come to church anymore. Keep in mind, my parents are not home. And now I'm 15, but I had been working my butt off, you know, in this position, and I'm good at what I do, you know. And crazy thing, when they came, she knocked on the door, and I kind of held the door open just a little bit. She was like, honey, go and open the door. We already heard. I know you're pregnant. I just came by to get the church's books from you. That's it. That's how she left it. Never came back to restore me. Never came back to say, well, you know, we all make mistakes. God loves you. And that was my first experience with
Church hurt.
rejection, church hurt, abandonment. Because now at 15, I'm thinking, oh, so I wasn't thinking. Remember, I told you, even though they put us in these positions and we're good at it, mentally and psychologically, we're not even fully developed.
Right. You're talking
So
good.
now I'm thinking, she's speaking on behalf of God to me.
Right.
So God don't want me.
Right.
God
Right.
told me don't come back to church. God told me He was disappointed in me.
Right.
You know, God said I'm a bad influence. Everything she said, and now I'm thinking that's God talking to me. So now I go through my entire rest of my pregnancy completely depressed. Completely depressed. And so that's why when I saw this, I always think about, is it really a good idea to put children in those positions without some kind of safeguards around them? You know what I mean? Some kind of emotional, psychological safeguards that say, I know that's what you're seeing, but you know.
Well, the church that we have in this day and age don't do that anymore.
Yeah. What
They
put you
don't give
out?
kids that, because literally
Yeah.
you had a lot of clout in the church. Youth ministry is the livelihood of churches, period. I used to be a youth pastor for several years. And so you had a lot of clout and your name and your what you said, even at your young age. But now they don't give that out. Here's why. Here's why the church don't do that anymore. Because the people that's in charge of the church were the one that got abused and mishandled.
Yeah.
That's why they don't do that anymore. If you pay attention, I was one of the few that did when it came to youth ministry, but I understood youth ministry. When I went to this one particular church, I don't like you right now. I don't like you right
we
now.
can't edit on the live, right?
Right. So I it's slow to speak. So I went to this one particular church, and I was a senior elder in the church, but somehow I ended up at church one particular Sunday, and they said, "Hey, we're missing this teacher. Can you teach this class?" And it was a young adult, like teenager. Well, I recognize gifts. That's that's one of my things that got, like, I would never tell you what your gift is,
right?
But I would recognize it. And it was this young lady that was in it, and I made sure that she was in charge of the class. But when I made sure that she was in charge of the class, guess what? I put boundaries around her.
Okay.
You ain't got no business talking to her.
Okay.
Now she good. If she needs something, she'll come to me.
Okay.
Because I knew the heartache, and I understood. My mother was that's how my mother got with my dad. Your story is my mother's story.
Wow.
You know, my dad, 25 years old, 26 years old, 27 years old. My mom is 15 years old.
Yep.
But it was okay back then. But mentally, they weren't developed yet.
Right.
And we young people, and I'll bring it back to the original question. When it comes to young people getting into ministry or doing ministry things,
right,
make sure they are a child first. Just like I say, you're gonna date a preacher. You're gonna date a pastor of I'll say guy pastor of a guy that's a preacher.
Right.
Please understand, he's a man first.
Yep.
Don't judge him because he know how to preach. Don't judge him because he knows how to dissect, to exegesis, his hermeneutics is together. Don't judge him on that. Please don't judge him on that. He is a man first. M-A-N first.
Yep.
Period. And I'm gonna go ahead and be honest with y'all.
Yep.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I had to get that concept when it came to women. I don't care how good that woman sure can preach the word. She sure can sing that song. She's a woman first.
Woman first.
She's a woman first. And she can bat her eyes just as quick as that girl in Kroger walking down the aisle.
Yep.
She will bat her eyes just as quick.
Yep.
So don't get this thing twisted. And that's where that's where the pews got the pulpit messed up. You think because they sitting up in the pulpit that they all together. Y'all better forget y'all better let that go.
Yeah. And I think it puts unreasonable pressure on us until we move. Now, this will happen to me. We move from ministering, I think you mentioned this earlier, to performing and hoping that something that we're saying touches somebody's life in the process. Hoping and praying that it touches somebody. It sounds like a solution. It sounds like an answer to somebody's prayer in the process, because we know that's what you all expect of us.
Mm, mm. Let me go ahead and dive into this thing. I'm just gonna be real. I don't care who like me or who don't like me. Right at this phase of my life.
Right.
There are 3 phases to a preacher.
Mm-hmm.
We are pitiful,
Mm-hmm.
we are popular, and then we are powerful.
Yep.
I'm gonna say that again. We're pitiful,
Mm-hmm.
we're popular, and then we're powerful. We're pitiful.
Mm-hmm.
I would preach at a dog funeral if I have to, because ain't nobody let me do nothing. So I don't care if you telling me that, hey, I need you to bury my dog.
Right.
Sign me up, because
Right.
I ain't got nobody call. And then you know your talents start coming up, and what happens?
Right.
You become popular.
Become popular.
When you become popular, that's the most dangerous phase in a preacher's life. Because when you become popular, you become famous. And when you become famous, you begin to act like those people that's in them. Like if I could turn my camera around, this is actually a movie theater. And so I got
Mm-hmm.
Samuel L. Jackson right there. I have Wesley Snipes. I have what is that? I don't know what movie that is, but I got movies and different things and posters into this movie theater. We become like them. So when we walk into places, when I was with, I almost called it again. I think you setting me up. I think you
Holy
set me up.
Spirit, activate. Activate.
Holy Spirit. There was a time in my life. There was a time in my life, and I remember my popular phase. I remember my popular phase. I could walk into a conference. Thousands and thousands of people would walk. I would walk in with bodyguards.
Mm-hmm.
Or I didn't even have to have my body. When I had bodyguards, I had so much money because I was transporting money. But I had
Mm-hmm.
other areas that I would take care of. And I could
Mm-hmm.
walk through and people would literally move out of my way.
Mm-hmm.
Literally
Mm-hmm.
move out of my way. There was
Mm-hmm.
not one room I did not have access to in this particular
Mm-hmm.
organization. If they was counting
Mm-hmm.
money, I could walk all the way in there. If the
Yep.
bishops was in there and they was having a bishop council, having a conversation, I could walk in there. I
Yep.
had that type of access.
Yep. Yep.
That was when I was popular.
Mm-hmm.
Baby, when God, and that's where life after the collar is born. When
Mm-hmm.
God decides to move you from popular to powerful,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you start finding your true meaning. And
Yeah.
everything that you went through in life now makes sense.
Yeah.
See, what
Yeah.
we do, especially as preachers,
Mm-hmm.
we discount our past.
Right.
And oh, I went through that and I went through that. And instead of learning, and we could be preachers
Mm-hmm.
and dragging unforgiveness with us, and
Yes.
dragging hatefulness with us, and
Mm-hmm.
dragging all of these different things with us into a higher level of a
Mm-hmm.
calling. We can, that's why I don't wear, so the term life after the collar, I don't wear
Yep.
collars anymore. because that's
Right.
just an outward expression where people think just because I have this on, my life is together. No, my life ain't together, but I can help you out with some stuff.
Right.
I'll
That
help you
part.
out with some stuff. But
Right.
you better be ready for the real thing. You better be ready for the real thing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know
And you have
how long
ready.
your show is, so I don't want to take too much of
Oh,
your time.
we good. We good. We're gonna go about 20 more minutes, and then
Okay.
I'm gonna have you back for part two, because I
Okay.
have a lot more questions for you.
Okay.
So it's important. Wow, you messed me up with that. Pitiful, popular, and powerful. First time I've
If
heard that. I'm
if
54.
you ever if every preacher, every minister, if you carry every leader, but it's really geared towards preachers because I do leadership
Yeah.
conferences in the church. I
Right.
love doing leadership conferences in the church. I get asked to come in and do. When it comes to leaders, when you finally recognize those three stages, and you
Mm-hmm.
really don't recognize it until you get to your powerful stage,
That's true.
because
That's true.
when you're pitiful, you're blinded by the popular person.
Mm-hmm.
When
Mm-hmm.
you're popular, you're
Mm-hmm.
blinded by the popular. I mean, by the
Mm-hmm.
powerful
Mm-hmm.
person.
Mm-hmm.
But each stage come with the cost.
Yeah, it does.
It
It
comes with the
does.
cost. It comes with the
It,
cost.
it, it really does. And when I realized that, um, I just never heard that before. The pitiful, the popular, and the powerful. When you have bishops and apostles that will come to you just because they see you talking to lay people and say, "Why are you over here talking to them? We don't allow you to talk to them." And then we're at conferences and other bishops and apostles are talking to me, then my bishop and apostle comes over and says, "What are you talking to her for?" And they might say, "Well, we were inviting them for lunch or whatever." And my apostle will say, "She doesn't want to go to lunch with you. She's going to lunch with us." You know, when, like you said, when you get to a certain level, and although you do enjoy some of the perks, now I'm not going to even lie about that.
Look, that popular phase is something
I'm
different.
not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. You do enjoy some of the perks. However, you got to be willing to pay the piper too.
I
There's some
remember
things that you normally wouldn't do, just on your own, on your regular day. But when you have to get in where you fit in, and if you want to stay in, then sometimes you got to
that's
play the game.
so when I talk about that that pew vantage point and that pulpit vantage point, those are two different things. Those are two
Mm-hmm.
different. I remember when I you're gonna make me do it. I had joined this particular church, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm at this particular church, and
Mm-hmm.
I've grown quite a bit because
Mm-hmm.
where God has escalated or grown me to, especially through my military career and
Mm-hmm.
seeing different things. So now I'm at this one particular church, and um, one of the senior elders in the church overheard a conversation that I was having with someone that was introducing themselves
Mm-hmm.
to me, and they
Mm-hmm.
said, "My name is Jerry." I said, "Hey, my
Mm-hmm.
name is Jason."
Mm-hmm.
And we went on about our conversation. And then after that conversation, this elder pulled me to the side. "No, you're not Jason. You're Elder Jason. My
Mm-hmm.
mama did not put elder on my birth certificate. I know what my
Right.
name is." And they thought
Yep.
that I was supposed to give my position first.
Right.
I thank God that I don't care about positions and titles. Now let's go ahead and be real since you brought it up. I didn't bring it up.
Right.
He did. Those benefits
Right.
that comes with these
Right.
titles.
Right.
Woo, let me tell you something. So I got to the point, Benny, let me be honest with you. Let me be honest with you. I got to the point I was walking around the foot I was walking around this conference. I was walking around this conference for years. For years. No, serious. I don't like you right now. I don't like you right now. So
You gonna
like
tell it
I'm there. I'm there like 2 or 3 days before the conference. So I'm able to sit in on certain meetings that
right.
the rest of the world they don't have nothing. So now I have all of these people that y'all see on TV, and I got their
Right.
phone number in my phone, and I can call them anytime I want. Hey doc, hey bishop,
Right.
hey. And so now you can't call me my name. I got to the point. No, Benny, stop. No. So
That
now
part.
I don't went from, hey, my name is Jason, and if I hear Jason, my head don't even turn.
Right.
I done got no. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm getting ready to get real deep with you. If you said elder, my head don't turn.
Right.
Hey bishop, hey overseer, hey, what's up? What you?
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
And I didn't even carry it. I didn't even have the right to be called bishop or overseer.
Right.
But because my position that I carried was the same weight. You see how this game messes up? And it leads to, and maybe next time we'll be able to talk about it, burnout.
Yes.
Because here's what happens with and I don't know if you've seen the guy that just sat down in this church.
Yep.
Because he was experienced burnout.
I saw it.
Here's what happens with preachers and burnout. We think that we always and life coaches, you're a life coach, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When it comes to life coaches, preachers, ministers, elders, in the spiritual realm, here's how we get burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
We say that we always supposed to have the answer.
Right.
At any given time, whenever you call me, I supposed to have the answer.
Yep.
I supposed to put my life on hold, whatever I'm going through, because I'm still, what was the first thing I said? I'm still a man.
Yeah.
You're still a woman. This still is a natural relationship. Before now I got to put all of that on hold.
Yep.
And deal with you. And it's burning me out.
Yep.
That's how we get burned out. When we say, my title is who I am. That's why I prefer you not to call me a title. And my pastor, I love him to life. He likes to give me all these titles and stuff, but I done told him, stop calling me that. I don't want no title. My name is, and I'm this is why I like my white preachers. I'm be honest. Look, you was the one that invited me on this show, not me. I didn't call you and say, hey, you did that. I have when I was in Jacksonville, Florida, where I started my church. Eric Caffey. Eric Caffey, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. I learned this. When you walk into the church, they don't say, I'm Pastor Eric. I'm Pastor Caffey. I'm Pastor this. I'm youth pastor this. I'm deacon this. They say, hey, I'm Eric. Hey, I'm Jeff. Hey, I'm Paul. Hey, I'm this. They don't care about titles.
Yeah.
And I messed some preachers up. I said the Bible always said Paul, the apostle. His title always their titles always came John the Baptist.
After the name, not before.
We black folks.
Yep.
Oh, y'all gonna make me do it tonight. Black folks got this thing about making themselves what the Bible says. Stop thinking of yourself too highly of who you
Yep.
really are.
Yep.
It's best for somebody to ask you up
Mm-hmm.
than say, hey, shawty, hey, folk, hey, cuz,
Don't sit down.
I need you to come. I need you to come sit over here. Have you ever been in the position where you done set your high parts in somebody's seat and they say, hey, doc, I need you to come over here, and the church is full?
I think once or twice.
Oh, it only took me one time for that to happen. It only took me one time for me to sit in somebody's seat I ain't had no business sitting in. I'll never do it again. If you want me to sit up there, you better come get me.
Yep.
I'm fine with sitting back here.
Yep.
Matter of fact, the sound is better back here. I hear echo up there.
Look,
Sit me all the way in the back.
What I did, start sitting back there until I was asked, "Why you sitting back here?" And I said, "Because they told me move from up there." "Oh no, you walk in with me then." Boom, there it is.
I got to the point, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I got to the point where I had to have my own seat. If I'm gonna be honest with y'all.
Be some kid.
I was on the international level of this organization. I was I was the international director of this organization, and I had my own seat.
Sound like the
when
same
I went to my church, I was the co-overseer of the elders of the church. So we had two different locations. So whenever I went, I knew that was my seat. I was the state director of elders. So when I was the state director of elders, I had my seat. I was the regional director of elders. When I walked into a regional conference, I had my own seat. You would never ask. Look, I figured this whole thing out.
You giving away clues, Jason. That's too many.
I figured this thing out.
Cause somebody gonna be able to figure out. Oh, okay, he was part of. Oh, okay.
Look,
you probably doing that intentionally.
Well, I'll say this: all you have to do is research me. You'll find out the position. And the reason why I'm not really, because I have news articles and stuff on me that mention the things. But I'm not going deep because I'm in the process of beginning to write a book, and names and things like that are going to come out. So
yeah. So I'm gonna ask you maybe one more question, then we're gonna wrap it up, because I gotta get you back to do part 2, because we didn't get to half of the questions.
I think we probably got the 2 questions. Go ahead.
You absolutely right. 2 questions. So. Geez, I don't really want to get into all of that. Okay, so
I do this. I ask a question that's going to be a teaser for them to come back.
Oh.
I ask a question that's going to be a teaser for them to come back for the next show.
Well, let me do this first. So I do want to talk about your time in military. I do want to say thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I want to say that.
And let me ask your viewers, please. I was doing the OIF, OEF, that time frame, and I served time over in the desert doing that. But y'all pray for my eldest son. My eldest son they said they were sending 7,000 military people. Out of the millions of military people we got, my son is one of the ones that they sent over, the 7,000 that they sent over. So y'all make sure y'all pray for my son.
To
His name,
Ukraine? To help
yes.
Ukraine?
See, you talk too much. He went over. He's over there. You
Jason,
finna get your whole show shut down because you trying to give out information.
everybody knows what's going on.
Yes, the situation going on with Ukraine and Russia. They sent 7,000 folks from Savannah. My son was stationed over there.
We'll certainly be praying for his safe return. You know what I said? I said they should have got those people from January the 6th and sent them over there. But anyhow, you're frozen again now. Okay, so maybe he'll come back in. But while I'm going to tell you guys some of the things that Jason did while he was serving. It says that he had a hunger for multiracial and multicultural ministry while he served in the United States Navy. It says he initially, oh, there he is. You back?
Look, it wasn't me. I told you. I told you. Don't see, people don't listen to me. People don't listen to me. I already knew what was gonna happen.
But Jason, you're the only one freezing.
Okay. If you say so.
No, the comment said so. Hey guys, am I freezing?
But see, I just read a text message that said, no, you're freezing, not me. But those are people that's following me and not you.
Okay, so
don't bring it up again. Just pray for my son. My son is protecting y'all.
But Jason,
pray for him.
We both was already freezing before then. So let me
yes,
tell
ma'am.
them what you did in
the
Navy.
Yes, ma'am.
Like that.
Yes. Say that again.
Let me just tell them what you did in the Navy and your accomplishments in the Navy. Okay, so
you just gotta go. You just gotta get everybody in trouble now.
As a ship serviceman, and then you later converted to religious program specialist. And you had hands-on training, accumulated valuable experience in ministry to the needs of people from different races, nationality. Now, this was worth celebrating. During your time there, you were honored serving 8 years in the United States Marine Corps in Iraq as a bodyguard for Navy chaplains, and also you were 2000 Junior Sailor of the Year for Navy Weapons Station Charleston, South Carolina. 2007, you were Senior Sailor of the Year, Submarine Base is at Kings Bay, Georgia. And also 2007, you were the Southeast Region RP of the Year. Congratulations. And again, thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's quite impressive. That is quite an impressive resume. So listen, Jason, when we come back, it says here you were a committed servant. You were like the creme de la creme of what they considered to be a committed servant. You know, and I read so much today about what leaders say being committed and submitted really means, and you know, some of the organizations that we've been a part of, it means different things in different organizations. You know, some just means you at everything they have. Some means you see it but you don't say nothing. You know, some of it means even if you leave us, you still better not say nothing, because We know where all the bodies are buried, including yours.
Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. So let me dive into that, because actually my military qualification
Uh-huh.
led me into my title of people giving me a what they call, what they say, committed servant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let, I'll try to break it down very quickly.
Okay.
Um, y'all black folks, I identify with identify with Hawaiian right now. But y'all black folk, y'all have this term, y'all have this position in the church called armor bearers. Y'all know what armor bearers is, right? And so armor bearers, from the church standpoint, is a person that is going to bring the man of God or the woman of God, her Bible out. Going to make sure that you can wipe the sweat and bring him something to drink. Bring him something to drink, and that's the armor bearer. From the kingdom, from a royalty point of view, whenever the king came out and decided he wanted to get his moment of glory, um, he would shoot, stab, or whatever the person, and then he would hand his armor, his weapon, to his armor bearer, and the armor bearer would finish the job.
Mm-hmm.
I know I done messed all of y'all church folks up,
Mm-hmm.
but the position evolved. My position in the military, chaplains, preachers, y'all bishops and y'all overseers, that they couldn't carry a gun. They couldn't carry a gun, and
Right.
since they couldn't carry a gun, um, they had a position called the RP. This is on the Navy Marine Corps side, and my job was to set up a church service. I would literally go and find a spot, and I would clear out a spot, and I would set up, whether it was a Catholic service, whether it was a Muslim service, whether it was a Protestant service, no matter what service it was, I would clear out a spot, and I would make sure that that minister, that preacher had everything, that chaplain had everything that they needed
Mm-hmm.
to perform their service. But guess what? Once
What?
I set up everything, I would then take my weapon
Mm-hmm.
and I would stand at a distance.
Mm-hmm.
I would be an arm's length away from him or her
Mm-hmm.
with my weapon. And if anything went wrong, my job was to take the man or the woman of God and protect him with my life.
Right.
I had no other choice. I had to die before the chaplain died.
Wow.
So while you have all of those guys and women up there talking about, oh, I'm the armor bearer. No, you ain't no armor bearer. You are a cup holder. An armor bearer is one that's willing to kill and get killed to protect
Right.
the man or the woman of God.
Right.
So when now that I people started giving me this title of
There you go. You're back.
okay, my life where I am, when it came to my pastors, I was willing to take a physical bullet or a emotional or a propaganda bullet for my pastor.
Gotcha.
I would take the bullet for him. I did it. It was me. I was the one. Things that I know that I literally would have to take to the grave with me.
Yep.
I literally have to take these things with me because my calling on my life dictated that I covered them.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
so here, and I'm gonna end and I'm gonna shut up because I know you want to do. You got to end your show. So now I'm stuck because I found myself. I'm faithful, but nobody wanted to take the bullet for me. And that's where church hurt came in.
I should have had something else in this cup besides water on that one.
I'm done with you. I'm done with you. Hey, let's do this again. Let's do this again, and we can finish the story.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
we didn't even get into life after the collar.
Yeah. So tell everybody how to follow you and how to reach you.
The best way to get in contact with me is lifeafterthecollar.com.
Okay.
If you go to lifeafterthecollar.com, you'll have all of my information. You'll have all of my podcasts. You will have Life After the Collar. You will have Daddy Read to Me, and you will have Coffee and Conversation. And then I am working on a new platform called Mad Smoke.
Yeah.
But you got to be ready for Mad Smoke. This ain't for the faint at heart. Mad Smoke is for grown folk.
Right. You got to be able to handle the smoke.
You got to be able to handle the smoke.
Jason, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I'm going to schedule you a part 2. Hopefully I can get you back on this month.
Whenever you want me on, I can clear my schedule. I can clear my schedule.
Oh, cool. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm going to have you back this month because I really want to get back into this, because when I read your bio, so much of this is what I've gone through and pretty much where I am. And even when I watched the video of the pastor of Word Tabernacle is the name of the church, it did so much, even as he spoke about his children, how one of his daughters was not even born when he started pastoring, and now she's in college. The other one, he said she was like, maybe she was a toddler, newborn herself, and now she's graduating college, and I was talking to my daughter about it, and she kind of, walked off a little bit, but a lot of that I understand because I literally was so committed. I would literally go in labor in church and have to be rushed to the hospital. So it's so much. I want to get into, and it's so much more I want you to answer, because it helps me to realize I'm not alone in this particular journey, where it comes to finding another calling outside of always being in the pulpit with a microphone. That there's another way to get a message out, without being damned to hell or made to feel like you just lost your last mind.
Well, if I could share that with that thought, think about John the Baptist.
Mm-hmm.
They were mad at him in a synagogue,
mm-hmm.
where church was normally taken care of, but he's out there in the wilderness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they was mad at him because they had more folks following him out there in the woods than they had him in the synagogue.
Mm-hmm.
Life after the collar. My position, I've had my best sermon that I've preached was in a cigar lounge.
Right.
That's the best sermon and most people, unless you was in the place, you didn't hear it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You got to learn to let what this go ahead.
See, Jason, you always starting stuff. So listen, I'm gonna have you back again, everybody. You can follow Jason. Contact him lifeafterthecaller.com. Um, you are all your social medias. Can they get through you from? Okay, so if you just go to the website, then that'll lead you to everywhere else. And you guys got to watch some of his TikToks. What's your name on TikTok?
So my name on TikTok is Jason Madison 6. Now look, I am TikTok famous. I am TikTok famous. So I have about 70,000 people follow me. So you got to call people to call somebody else to get to me if you want to get to me on TikTok. I got people set up that take care of that. But if you want to just contact me directly, go to what's the name of my site? Lifeafterthecaller.com. I am not that hard to get in contact with. I enjoy life. And let me share this with you all. No matter what storm you are in life, always remember there's a purpose for your storm. Some storms water the ground. Some storms reveal who's the weak links in your life. And then there's another storm that will wipe everything away so that you can start over. But whatever you do, don't complain about the storm. I woke up this morning. This week has been very difficult for me. And I woke up this morning in the midst of being asleep and waking up, and my spirit is already talking to God. And I said, God, release this. And when I said, God, release this, I finally came to myself and I started getting myself together, and I checked an email, and my email suggested the very thing that I asked God for. So I don't care what storm you're in, God still has his eye on you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. We needed that word. We absolutely needed that word. And Jason, again, I'm going to have you back this month, as a matter of fact. And listen, guys, thank you, Instagram. I guess you guys could hear everything real good and see everything on your monitor. You're actually watching on this monitor. You're actually watching YouTube Live. Okay. So thank you guys for sticking in here with us. And hopefully, before Sunday, which is my next show, we have another guest coming on. Hopefully my laptop is behaving, and because I am freezing. I think it's because it's my first time using my iPad. So it could have been me. I mean, I'm not going to take all the blame for freezing tonight, but some of it. So, and that's because I'm using something different.
That's so enough sound like God, the man you gave me. The guest you gave me.
Right?
But I ain't gonna say that out loud. But it just sounded like God, the guest you gave me for the show tonight.
Right. Didn't nobody hear you but me, okay? Yeah, right. Okay, Jason, thank you so much. I'm gonna have you back again real soon. And guys, thank you all for watching. Good night, everybody.
Good night.